the Quiet Storm format, I don't want to say it saved black music, but it enhanced black music's reputation as a healing agent. Absolutely. And Melvin Lindsey is who we have to thank for that. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to day number 18 of the Black Music Month 30 series here on the Groove Line with your boy Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there. It's Thursday, Throwback Thursdays in full effect, and Thursday nights for me always felt like the Quiet Storm. So today we are going to talk about the Quiet Storm, and we're going to talk about the DJ who started it all. That would be Mr. Melvin Lindsey, a DC native who was born in 1955 and unfortunately passed in 1992. And he is the one who, along with Kathy Hughes, who was the GM of WHUR Washington, D.C. at the time, started what would become known as the Quiet Storm. So the way the Quiet Storm worked, it was an after-hours form. It is an after-hours format still, designed with all the best love music and slow jams and different things of that nature. And that's how most radio stations, contemporary stations for like folks who are like 40 something and up, like myself, still do to this day. But the way it started was there were a couple of DJs ahead of Melvin on Kathy Hughes's chart, but one guy was so good that he got a job right out of college, and another guy, one of Melvin's friends, was so freaked out, like the day of the show, he couldn't do it. So Melvin Lindsey was the third option for Kathy Hughes, and Melvin had been Kathy's personal assistant for a while, helping babysit her son Alfred and different things of that nature, and so Melvin's freaking out too. And Kathy's like, calm down. I'm going to help you. And when Kathy Hughes says she's going to help you, that's an ace in the hole right there. Because if you don't know what Kathy Hughes is all about, I mean, Radio One, Urban One, TV One, that's all her. And she built that joint from the ground up. Remember, if you go back to my interview with Deanna Williams, she mentioned how Kathy Hughes got turned down so many times for a bank loan that, she didn't know if she was ever going to be able to get her media empire off the ground. But Kathy Hughes is one of them ones. Make no mistake about it. So they picked through Melvin's personal collection, Kathy's personal collection of music, sent him off to the studio. And people loved the format. Melvin didn't say much, but the old school music, they would play some old jazz standards, some recent love songs, especially from the Sound of Philadelphia and different things like that. And Kathy Hughes came up with the name of the Quiet Storm because that was one of the popular songs at the time from Smokey Robinson. We've done a review of that album, if you haven't noticed, on this channel. And that's how the Quiet Storm was born. And he did that for 9 years at WHUR until WKYS, which was the rival station in DC, came calling. And Donnie Simpson was the head honcho over there at the time, but Melvin Lindsey was coming. The Melvin Lindsey. So they offered him $1 million. And this is in 1985. $1 million in 1985. I mean, $1 million in 2026 is a lot of money now. But in 1985, a radio DJ was getting a 7-figure contract to bring something that he created over to the rival station. Incredible. And if you're wondering, because I did the research, $1 million from 1985 is about $3 million in 2026 money for inflation adjusted. So yes, it's a lot of, still, whatever you want, it's a lot of money. And Melvin Lindsey made a lot of money. He also did screen scene for BET. He was a person in demand, and unfortunately for him, just as the 90s started to, turn the corner, he discovered that he had contracted HIV and eventually full-blown AIDS. And he died in the spring or summer of 1992. And a lot of people almost 35 years later, still mourn the loss of Melvin Lindsey. And I forgot to say at the beginning, this is part of our Pride Month thing, which is why we're talking about Melvin Lindsey. Because even though he never came out in life, like those closest to him knew that, he was gay. But you got to just, in a short life like that, and as unfortunate as it was, you have to think that wherever his spirit is, he has to be thrilled that all these years later, something that was an absolutely cosmic accident became one of the most popular Black radio formats and Black music genres to ever exist. Because when you think about it, you think about the early 70s. I told you guys about the 70s. The early 70s to the mid 70s was wild as hell. You had James Brown, kicking up the funk meter. You had Parliament Funkadelic right behind him. You had Philly International and Barry White starting to stew this thing that would eventually become disco. Everybody was dancing. Everybody was moving. Everybody was angry. Everybody was, good and angry. Never forget, Ron Isley said on Fight the Power, all this bull, like, that was one of the first bleeped out records on the radio in 1975. So people were angry, people were mad, people wanted to dance, but then there was still an element of people who wanted intimacy, who wanted to cool down, after they had been, popping a molly and sweating in the club all night. So Quiet Storm was perfect for that. And Melvin Lindsey, with his soft-spoken baritone, was the perfect choice to be the DJ, which is why you have people like Lawrence Tanner out in Los Angeles, my guy Tony Brown, may he rest in peace, at WDAS in Philly, and Frankie Crocker in New York City, Herb Kent in Chicago, all of these different radio DJs who adopted that Quiet Storm format and became legends for it. And Melvin Lindsey, unfortunately, he didn't get to stand shoulder to shoulder with the ones who benefited from his, developing the Quiet Storm. But it's just a beautiful thing to know that people still love and admire this man nearly 35 years after his passing. And just to sort of give you guys context of how much he had at risk, because again, people for some strange reason get their knickers in a twist. I said knickers, not the other word. Don't try to dock me, YouTube. People get their knickers in a twist about gay people, lesbians, bisexual people, transgender people. Like, they exist. They always have existed, and they will continue to exist, whether you want them to or not. But the 80s was a rough time for gay men, because HIV and AIDS just went off like a bomb. Like, there were people who were saying they were attending funerals for friends every week. And that's why I always found it interesting, because I never forget, I think it was Craig Seymour, the famous music critic, who said that he's one of the few elder gays around because he lost so many of his mentors and elders to HIV and AIDS. So it's like, you think about that. These are people who were not forced to be in community. I mean, of course, they wanted to be in community with each other because they all understood each other, but having to be that close to each other and knowing that people are going to hate you anyway and say that you are dying because this is God's wrath, this is the sin you get for loving who you love, had to be devastating. And I mean, granted, HIV and AIDS treatment has come a long way. Hello, Magic Johnson. That, people can live long, full, healthy, normal lives. But back in those days, that was HIV and AIDS was an absolute death sentence. There was no coming back from that. And it was it originally was called the gay cancer because, granted, cancer still takes you out of here, but it doesn't take you out of here as quickly as it did back in those days. But yeah, back in the early stages of the HIV and AIDS crisis, it was originally called a gay cancer. And it was very unfortunate that a lot of people were stigmatized. I mean, I had a friend of my mother's died of AIDS at, was Uncle Gregory 35 or 36? I can't remember, but I do know that after a while, because he was this tall, slim, very effeminate man, but he looked out for us. Like, when my mom's sister got real sick and she was about to die of cancer, Uncle Gregory came by the house, cooked for me and my sister, sent us off to school because my grandmother was 70 years old. She wasn't going to be able to wrangle in an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old fighting each other every day at the dinner and breakfast table. Uncle Gregory could still do it, and until he couldn't anymore, because he got sick real fast, and he just stopped coming around after a while. And then I think my sister saw him one day, and she said, Chris, he doesn't look good. And I'm like, what do you mean he doesn't look good? And, those type of things, I'll never forget, there was this girl who used to bully me incessantly. She said, that's why your uncle died of AIDS. And I'm like, I know what AIDS is at this point. I'm 11, 12 years old. And I'm just like ready to swing on this girl, knowing I shouldn't. But, my mom, she said she's ignorant. She doesn't know better. She's, just let it go. And that sort of hurt my mom's eyes when she said that. And it just, it's like, wow, we got to be better as human beings. Like, I thought that as 11, 12 years old. And I still think that today, now that I'm going on 45. But, just in Melvin Lindsey's case, he couldn't come out. He couldn't come out and say he was gay and had AIDS. He did at the end, though. He did at the end. And not to anybody's real surprise, he got a lot of love at the end. People still showed up for him. People still wished him well. People still sent him gifts and cooked for him and different things of that nature. I mean, when you're a good human being, people don't stop loving you because something unfortunate is happening or has happened to you. And I think that's what Melvin Lindsey, his legacy was that, yeah, he was the dude that created Quiet Storm, but apparently he was just a good dude that everybody loved. And these are just the things that, we probably should think more about instead of who anybody chooses to love, how they choose to ID sexually, gender-wise, any of those things. None of that stuff really matters in the end. What matters is, do you love your neighbor? That's what a lot of y'all Christians forget, man. A lot of y'all be forgetting that, your first job and your only job, the only thing that this God and Jesus that y'all believe in has ever asked of you jokers is to love other people. Love your neighbor. It's that simple. I mean, there are some neighbors, like the one in the White House, that are absolutely unlovable. But if these people aren't bothering you, and I'm talking about our LGBTQ homies, if they ain't bothering you, what difference does it make? It ain't your bed. It ain't your orgasm. It ain't your intimacy. Leave them people alone. Just had to get that off my chest. But yeah, Melvin Lindsey, we don't have something as wonderful as the Quiet Storm without him. If you missed my conversation with Ian Youssef of the Black ETC podcast, I'm going to put that in the description below so you guys can check that out, because we talked about the history of the Quiet Storm for a good 30 minutes. I had a good time doing it too. But yes, I wanted to shout out Melvin Lindsey because there is no Quiet Storm without him. This whole format that made Luther Vandross a star, that made Anita Baker a star, that gave new life to old Isley Brothers records, Marvin Gaye, the Temps, and created stars like people who you wouldn't expect to be stars, like Music Soul Child, D'Angelo, so many others. Like, the Quiet Storm format, I don't want to say it saved Black music, but it enhanced Black music's reputation as a healing agent. Absolutely. And Melvin Lindsey is who we have to thank for that. And that's going to do it for day number 18 of the Black Music Month 30 series here on the Groove Line. Contact information will be in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe, tap that notification bell so you're notified of all new videos that drop on this channel. And don't forget to like and comment on these videos, because as you know by now, your boy talks back in the comments. We're 60% of the way done, 40% of the way done, 40% of the way till the end. So what's next? Just wanted to tune in and find out. So thank you guys for riding with me on the Groove Line, and until the next time we ride, may you find the groove, or may the groove find you.